Welcome back to the Power of Silence podcast. This is episode 3. They tried to break you, but you became fire. How silence strengthens emotional control. This isn't a story of revenge. It's a story of resurrection, of what happens after pain, after endings, after your old life collapses, and you rise from the ashes. Not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to be. Sometimes the most sacred transformations happen when no one is watching, when the world believes you've fallen, but you're quietly gathering light. Society tried to break you. They thought the silence meant defeat. But in truth, you were just beginning. You weren't collapsing, you were transforming. You're about to hear a journey of awakening, of losing, learning, and finally becoming fire. The fall that woke you up, every person faces a moment when everything stops making sense. The plan you built disintegrates. The people you trusted disappear. The ground you thought was steady gives way beneath your feet. At first, you call it failure. You call it heartbreak. You call it loss. But later, in hindsight, you understand. It was transformation in disguise. Life doesn't shatter you to punish you. It cracks you open so truth can enter. It strips away everything temporary until all that's left is real. Every storm that wrecked your path was leading you home. Every betrayal that stung your soul was redirection, not rejection. Because some endings aren't endings at all. They're doors disguised as destruction. The old version of you needed to collapse so a stronger one could rise from the ruins. You didn't fail. You awakened. And awakening never feels graceful. It feels like breaking. But beneath that breaking was the beginning of something unshakable. Silence as the battlefield. When healing begins, it doesn't announce itself. It whispers. It moves through silence. It strips away your need to react, to prove, to be understood. You start choosing quiet over confrontation. You no longer need to defend your peace. And that unsettles people, because they can't manipulate what no longer reacts. Your silence becomes your sword. Not to harm, but to protect your energy. The world reads it as withdrawal, but you know it as mastery. There is a power that lives in saying nothing, because silence reflects. It shows people their own intentions. It mirrors back truth without words. When you stop responding from pain, you start responding from purpose. You see patterns clearly. You notice motives without effort. You move differently, with intention, not reaction. That's the real war, not against others, but against your impulses, against the need to explain, to justify, to prove. You've learned that not every battle deserves your fire. Some deserve your silence, because silence is where your strength regenerates. Loneliness is the training ground of power. There's a sacred loneliness that comes after loss, the kind that feels like exile, but is really initiation. It's the silence between what was and what's next. In that solitude, something happens. The noise of the world fades. You start to hear your own thoughts clearly. Your truth, your instincts, your voice. Solitude becomes your sanctuary. It teaches patience. It teaches endurance. It teaches self-respect, the kind that doesn't depend on being seen. Most people fear solitude because it exposes everything false inside them. But you stayed. You faced yourself. You sat with the ache until it stopped screaming. And in that stillness, you began to grow roots. Quiet, invisible, steady. Your peace started taking shape from the inside out. That's when strength stops being an act and becomes a nature. That's when you realize being alone was never loneliness. It was alignment. Becoming fire. They tried to dim your light, but the attempt only made it burn brighter. They tried to contain you, but you learned to expand in silence. Every wound became wisdom. Every insult became fuel. Every heartbreak taught you self-discipline. You learned that fire isn't anger, it's transformation. That pain, when faced without fear, refines you. A fire doesn't apologize for burning. It doesn't justify its glow. It simply is. And now so are you. You are not reacting from pain anymore. You are responding from power. The version of you that once begged to be understood now simply radiates understanding. You don't chase what drifts. You don't fight what falls away. You trust what remains. That trust, that steady knowing, that's what makes you unbreakable, living unshakably in a shifting world. Here's the next test. Can you stay peaceful while everything shakes? When plans fall apart, can you remain centered? When others misunderstand your calm, can you stay silent? That's strength, not resistance, but balance. You've learned that you don't need to win arguments to have peace. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You simply embody it. You've stopped reacting to drama. You've stopped engaging noise. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It simply exists. When life pushes chaos toward you, you breathe. When people try to provoke you, you smile. When your path bends unexpectedly, you whisper, "I trust the timing." That's mastery, not control over life, but harmony with it. Your new language, energy. Now you speak a new language, one that requires no sound. Your energy speaks before you do. Your peace carries messages words can't contain. You no longer beg to be understood. You let your stillness explain everything. Your consistency answers every question your mouth doesn't have to. People will sense your distance and mistake it for disconnection. But you know the truth. Distance is alignment. You've outgrown chaos disguised as companionship, validation disguised as love. You can feel peace in your bones now. You can recognize manipulation the moment it enters the room. You no longer chase closure, you embody it, because silence is closure. Silence is understanding. Silence is the new language of those who have healed. You've become fluent in calm, returning home to yourself. Everything you were searching for, acceptance, safety, freedom, was never out there. It was within you, waiting for your return. Coming home to yourself is the hardest journey because it demands forgiveness. Forgiving what broke you, forgiving who left, forgiving the version of yourself that didn't yet know better. That forgiveness doesn't erase the pain. It releases its control. It frees you to build again, without bitterness. Now your silence isn't armor. It's your temple. It's where you rest, reflect, and realign. You no longer need to be understood. You finally understand yourself. And that is enough. You've stopped trying to prove your worth. You've stopped chasing love that costs your peace. You've come home. And that home is made of stillness, self-trust, and firelight. Take a deep breath. Feel what you've become. The storms didn't destroy you. They revealed you. They tried to bury you, but they didn't know you were the seed. You are the calm after chaos, the silence after thunder, the fire that never fades. Every time life thought it was breaking you, it was really baptizing you, initiating you into your next evolution. So walk quietly, burn gently, and remember, your silence isn't absence, it's transformation. You are the living proof that healing can roar without a sound. You are the fire they could not extinguish, the light that grew in the dark, the strength that rose from stillness. This was episode 3. They tried to break you, but you became fire. You've been listening to the Power of Silence podcast. Until next time, move with quiet purpose. Speak only when truth demands it, and remember, your silence is not retreat, it is evolution.